Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. We have Vishesh here with us today to do another tactical analysis, and this time it is of our player of the season, Anthony Martial. And clearly, Martial has improved a lot this year, and he's been tearing teams apart this season. But Vishesh, it's almost like he's become a more complete player this year. And can you take us through why we say that, and why are we so sure that he's going to become something great?
I mean, Martial has made leaps and bounds when it comes to this season. I mean, he's impressed each and every person out there. I'll just like to go on some of his statistics that we've seen during the game. If we look at Martial, he has an impressive passing accuracy of 82.62%, while also playing an average of 5.49 forward passes per 90. So there are at least 5 forward passes being made that shows that he's coming back to support the attack. The forward player will often use his dribbling or passing to progress the ball, and he averages 1.54 and 2.17 progressive runs and passes respectively. So that's key to take down. If we look at his heat map, and you can see it up right now, we see that he covers all three upfront positions. Right, we saw it under Jose, where it was a rotation between Martial and Rashford for the left. But if we see it now under Ole, he's playing on the left, he's playing on the right, he's centrally more focused. But when we look at it as a whole, his left wing and center position is more emphasized. So that's what's making him a perfect number nine. His conversion rate, his shots on target, as we'll discuss later. But yeah, that's what's making him a complete nine, and I think Ole has a big part in that.
Right. Vishesh, I asked you this specifically because, Martial has all the skills that you need for a number nine. He's clinical within finishing, his close control is brilliant, and his versatility all around gives him that opportunity to, do that rotation that you just spoke about. And it's almost like having two players in one with Martial. And he's been receiving a lot of praise as well from all quarters. So why don't you shed some light on like what other people have been saying about him and why we think that like he has these qualities of a number nine. It's not just us, but others are saying this as well.
I mean, we saw it after the Copenhagen game, right, where he did not score a goal. He just won us the penalty, but he received a lot of praise, and he received praise from some critics that are really harsh on United players since they've been ex United players, such as Paul Scholes, calling him the complete number nine, and he just locked down that position. But I would personally like to quote Percy, RVP, on this, where he went on BT Sport and said that Martial was an outstanding player that night, and he always has an eye for his teammates, and that is what sets him apart and makes him a good player. I think that he is a world class player. He can provide, he can give assists, dribbles, he's fast, and so on and so forth. And we've always known that he's fast, right? We saw that as soon as he came onto the screen against Liverpool and scored that close control finish with the ball. I know that we've mentioned that he has some amazing close control. We saw it against Copenhagen. You have come on record and said that you believe he's second to Messi, and that's a great compliment in itself. But something that I would like to pick on is when Percy said he always has an eye for his teammates. And that is crucial because I remember when we came back from lockdown, there was this time where we were 2-0 up against Sheffield United, and he was running at goal 1v1 versus the keeper, and he could have chipped it and dinked it over him. But rather than that, he looked at what was better. He saw Rashford running down in the center, and 99.9% of the times that would have been converted. And rather than chipping the ball, he played it off to Rashford, which just shows that while the competition is there, he still wants the team to do well, and he's becoming more of a team player rather than just a greedy striker.
Right, right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like, I think obviously Robin van Persie being one of the greatest strikers to have played in the Premier League, when he's saying that Martial is world class, I mean, you have to believe that there is something to that. But having spoken about his all-round ability, let's focus a little more on his goal scoring because this season he has been outrageously consistent, and that is something United fans have been saying that when is this great talent we have going to start being more consistent. So, Vishesh, why don't you take our fans through some of the goal scoring and statistics that we have for them?
I mean, Martial has been consistent given the fact that he's been injured. We need to remember that he was injured for a good amount of this season, and he still managed to get 17 goals in. So let's look at the stats and compare it to last season. I would like to bring your notice to this picture in which the number of shots that he has taken this season have doubled. If we look at it carefully, last season he took 39, vis-a-vis this season he took 80 shots. That's double the amount of shots. And he has 40 of those 80 on target. So it's not like he's just shooting it and, kicking it like Andres Pereira out of the stadium or into the 30 of the stadium. And again, these stats do not include the amount of times he's hit the woodwork. So that makes a big difference because Manchester United have hit the woodwork pretty often. And again, Martial isn't our penalty taker, right? During the start of the season, it was Rashford, Pogba. Martial took one, if I'm not mistaken, and since Bruno has come in. So it just goes to show that he's been scoring goals from direct play rather than free kicks or penalties, and that is very impressive. What's even more impressive is that he is still converting chances more effectively than what his expected goal statistic is, right? So you would expect him to have a significant drop with the number of shots that he's taking, but that's not happening. Anthony has always finished at a better rate than what the math has projected him to. He has managed to increase the volume of his shots and still maintain, the goals that he's been scoring. So if we look at the goals that he shot from inside the penalty area, so when shooting from inside the penalty area in this league this season, Martial has scored 11 more often than he has missed, which have been 8. So that just goes to show how he's been improving, from an attacking perspective.
Right. I think when you said it at the top of the video, I think Ole has been saying that he wants Martial to score sloppy goals, like dirty goals, and not the flamboyant goals, but the sort of goals that Harry Kane scores, which are tap-ins. He be there at the right time, at the right place, and put it away, make the right runs. And after lockdown, I've seen him score a lot of those goals where he just poaches them in or something like that. While I do remember, those flamboyant goals that he scored against Watford or against Bournemouth, where we, needed to get that comeback and he delivered a great goal. But there are some very sort of scrappy goals. Are there any particular games that come to your mind?
Prasham, you mentioned the Bournemouth game, and we've always taken Martial as the man who comes in from the left, uh, goes towards the right, and takes that curled shot into the top right corner from outside the box. But the game that showed me that he's adjusting to that number 9 position is the one against Sheffield United. So as you mentioned, Ole kept going out in the press conference and saying that while Rashford and Martial are, scoring worldy goals, we need them to poach goals from inside the six yard box, right? And I'm going to break down the 3 goals that Martial scored to get that hat trick. So in this game, we saw the first goal in which, if we look at this picture, right, Martial is is right next to Greenwood when the play is being started, and Greenwood passes the ball to Rashford rather than Martial. So when this happens, Martial does not stay on the wing, right? Because if we look at the picture carefully, both Greenwood and Martial on the right, while Rashford is more central in comparison. So rather than that, he makes a diagonal run in, which allows Rashford to go on the outside, and he enters the 6 yard box with him poaching that goal when the cross is made. It's very similar for the second goal when it comes to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's again around the 6 yard box. So these are 2 goals that are exactly like the poacher goals that Ole wanted and the number 9 striker kind of goals that we wanted. And then the third goal was just some brilliant movement and connection between Rashford and Martial, where we see some intrinsic passing taking place and him running between the defenders and then chipping it over the goalkeeper. But what's important is that in all these 3 goals, he's inside the penalty area, very close to the 6 yard box. He's not taking a worldie from outside or trying to curl it from a difficult angle. He's in that 6 yard box with a clear aim towards goal.
Right. You're absolutely right. And what's good to see, of course, is that we've spoken about it on our channel so many times that it's his attitude, right? He looks hungry, he looks happy. We've never seen Martial smiling so much throughout the years he's been at United. And you can clearly see when Rashford gets a goal, he wants a goal. It's not that he's unhappy that Rashford's got it, it's just that hunger that he thinks even he should be getting it. Ollie said that against Lask, he really wanted to come on because he thought that there was a goal in the game and he won us that game. But I think that is also an important thing. And I think also Rashford and Greenwood and that pace that they have together and the combination they have is also helping Martial a lot, because they can move around so freely. So Vishesh, is there anything else you want to add?
Prasham, I think you've covered it pretty well when you talk about the way the front three have been doing well, and we have created a video on that as well. But the last thing that I think Martial needs to be given credit for, and Ole comes out and says this in each and every press conference, and is sometimes ridiculed for it, is where Ole comes out and says we press right from the get go. I mean, Tony Martial is our first line of defense, and a lot of fans, and initially even I was like, well, what rubbish is that? Tony just moves around. Pressing is only against the high teams, but that's not the case. If you look at the success rate of the pressures that have taken place, it's gone from 25% to 29%, which just suggests that Martial is not only pressing more, but he's also doing it in better situations. He's doing it more effectively. When we look at the way that he's making clearances, that's doubled as well. There's an increase of at least 70% in comparison to last season. So he's definitely putting in a defensive role as well. And it's just great to see that since he's got that number 9 back from after changing it from 11 to 9, there's been a change in Martial, and he's claiming that spot. If you look at it, last window when we got Bruno and there were rumors that we're going to get another striker, this transfer window, the striker rumors are more or less quiet. It's only the right wing or centre back or midfield, which just goes to show that he's managed to earn the trust of the manager, and he's secured that position for at least a season, according to me.
Absolutely. I think Vishesh said it absolutely correctly in the last way. You've said he's earned the trust of the manager, because I think Martial does seem to be the player who requires confidence and faith. And I think Ole is showing him and he's giving him that. And he's proving everybody right. He's proving everyone who knew that he had potential, he's proved them right this season. And I hope he can continue because he has everything in his game: close control, clinical finishing, movement off the ball, like you said, and the pressing. So, guys, I think we've covered all the key points that makes Martial such a brilliant player. If you have anything more to add, do let us know in the comments. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.